I have 3 amazing kids. And these were given to me because I'm a survivor. I have a 6-year-old granddaughter. My name is Mel. I'm here to talk about my journey of surviving through sex trafficking and other traumas and where I'm at now in my healing journey.
Trafficking is taking place in all our communities. It's such a bigger problem than many of us realize because trafficking is not about movement. It's about profiting from someone else's vulnerability.
I was adopted from a very young age by some wonderful people. They also adopted another brother from another family, person from another family. He started abusing me, and I started, as I got older, became very angry, very bitter, I guess you can say, and I started running away. At about age 15 is when I started.
My name is Mariana Kosharovsky. I am the executive director of ALIGHT, Alliance to Lead Impact in Global Human Trafficking. ALIGHT is a nonprofit organization that started in Colorado in 2017 with our first pilot in Denver, helping survivors on their long journey to freedom. And we've now helped over 200 survivors on legal cases in 33 states and Washington, D.C.
When I was 17 is when I met the person that ended up trafficking me. He was 27 years old, and you know, at that time, you don't know what grooming is. I was 17, had no clue what grooming is, but he started to treat me like a princess. I mean, it just was what I felt to be this love, you know, this man has given me all of this attention and all of this stuff. Put a big diamond ring on my finger, made me feel very secure and very safe.
One of the biggest things that I discovered as soon as I started representing survivors of sex and labor trafficking, survivors of all ages, survivors of all backgrounds, is that even after someone escapes their trafficking situation, they're still not free.
I didn't realize at the time that he was waiting until I turned 18 to invite me to go to New York. And I found myself being locked into a room the same night, and within 24 hours I was on the streets of New York City. When I think back to what took place now, I believe it was just this big survivor instinct you have. I knew if I continued to fight him, because I did fight him in the beginning, things would get worse for me. You know, the beatings would get worse. I would end up probably dead. So you become this other person. You cannot show weakness out on the streets, you know, when you're being, especially here I am, 18 years old, in a place I had no clue of, you know, anything. And during this time in the early 90s, it was so normalized in New York. So it seemed like every street corner had different types of sex workers.
Back in the early days, as I was representing survivors, another thing that I noticed was that traffickers are savvy. They're savvy at grooming their victims, targeting their victims, and they're also savvy at figuring out how to profit from their victims as much as possible. And they were using technology back then in the 2000s when I started doing this work. And every year I've seen them use technology and abuse technology more and more effectively to groom, to recruit, to monitor, to harass. And so I was very curious about how can we start using technology and start thinking about this problem differently so we can actually use it to help survivors.
I think the most important thing that people need to know about human trafficking is that it is simple as going out on a date with somebody that you're not really familiar with. All of these young girls that are being called habitual runaways and being sent out and having tags on them like that makes it easier for people and groomers and traffickers to get to them, because nobody is taking it serious still. This was in the early 90s. Here we are in 2023 and people still don't believe it's happening. And it is. It's happening every day. But I think we need to start changing the mindsets of people, not so much laws, but the mindsets. We need to start wiping away these labels that are placed on people. The reality is that these kids that are running away are at risk. They are at risk youth. They are not habitual runaways. They are at risk youth.
Are we getting better at fighting human trafficking? We're getting better at talking about it and recognizing it and addressing it. And the more you look, the more you realize it's actually taking place. Whether it's at the National Stock Show or massage parlors that we pass by, or one of the 10 other industries that ALIGHT has helped survivors in. It's taking place right now, and awareness at this point is not enough, because there are people right now that need help. They need tangible help. So we're at a point where we need to move beyond talking about it, and we need to offer concrete services so that when a survivor is reaching out and risking and thinking about, is there hope, is there anyone else like me, we're actually offering them something back. Legal services are very rare in the entire country. The country is a legal desert for legal services. And so we have to pay attention to removing all these obstacles in their path.